Okay, so we just finished doing a pretty straightforward sculpting job for this wall asset, and we did a little bit of masking, we did a little bit of projection master, and we created some noise effects, and then we added in some basic sculpting for the surface. And so that should give you a good idea of some things that you can do with surfaces. But I wanted to go ahead and jump into making another model that has some different requirements for it, so that we can go through this process and kind of iterate on what we've developed. So I'm going to go ahead and open my floor. And the floor is the one that I had in my previous asset. Now, you may think it looks a little weird. That's just because ZBrush defaults to having like a minimal perspective view. So it actually, there's nothing wrong with this mesh. It just looks a little weird when you're viewing it from the side. So okay, so this is an example of a model that has slightly more geometric detail in it than other models. So like it's not just a cube, right? So we exported it in this state, but remember we had the need to make a more unified skin with the last one. So let's take a look at that. So we can make this resolution. We could make it 16, but I think that I'm actually probably going to make it 32, and I'm going to make it a smooth as zero, and then I'm going to go ahead and make a unified skin. Then if I scroll back up, we have this skin wall. Oh, wait, no, actually, I'm going to go to floor, and I have this one, and then I should be able to make a unified skin out of this floor piece. Okay, now, so this is the only thing that's a little bit problematic, right? Making a unified skin doesn't always work as you might want it to. So in this case, just to give you an idea of how this works, we're not going to be able to use a unified skin on this asset to get it to work correctly. And the way that we need to actually resolve this so that we can have proper sculpting capability is to make some modifications to it before we bring it into ZBrush. So I'm actually going to go ahead and hit Control. I'm going to hit T to toggle off editing. And then I'm going to hit Control N. I'm going to clear that out. And so what we need to do is we need to jump back in 3ds Max or Maya. And we need to actually modify this asset a little bit because we're not going to be able to create a unified skin that actually fulfills the purpose in the way that we did with the other asset. So what I want to do is I want to make this so that it has kind of squared topology as much as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to right click, select hide selection for the wall. And essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to start subdividing this a bit. So we know that this is broken up into 4 divisions here, but we also have these kind of smaller division sections, and those are the pieces that we're going to want to make be roughly uniform divisions for. But we're eventually going to want to have this floor model as a model that we're using. So we don't want to actually edit this one, we want to make a different one. So I'm going to hit Control C. Actually, scratch that. We don't do Control C. I'll just hit Control V. I'm going to make a copy. I'm going to call this floor quads. And then basically what we're going to do is we're going to go through and make some subdivisions in this so that everything is roughly similar in size. So I'm going to go ahead and select a span here. I'm going to use the Connect tool, which is also the tool that you can use in the modeling package in Maya. And I'm going to look towards making enough subdivisions that it looks like it's roughly symmetrical. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect. In this case, I'm going to use 4 because of the type of model that I have here. And then I can go ahead and do the same thing on all of the axes to make sure that I'm creating the shape that I need to create. And Connect stores your changes, so you can easily go through and do that. Okay, now this is not perfect. This isn't necessarily exactly how we'd want it to be, but it's usually pretty good to do something like this, because when we subdivide it out, it's going to start dividing into cubes more evenly, and we should be able to take this floor and use it for ZBrush. So I'm going to go export selected, and I'm going to call this floor quads, just so it's clear that we have made this correction. Then I'm going to go into ZBrush, and I'm going to select load tool. Actually, no, we don't want a load tool. We want to go to import. And then we go to floor quads. Then we've got that floor quads mesh. Oh, haha. That's not good. So I'm going to use a drag rect to get that there. So I have my floor. I'm going to select edit, either by hitting T or hitting on the button there. Then I can hit Control N, and it will get rid of everything that's not currently in active edit. Then I can hit F to focus on it, and then I have my options here. So so basically, what I want to do with this case is I want to actually create kind of like a divot in the on the edges surrounding these 4 corners of this this mesh that looks like it's kind of like a stucco or a grotto between each of the pieces. And by far the easiest way to do that is to set it up with a mask. So I'm going to go ahead and hold down Control, and I'm just going to drag out my rough mask. But you'll notice again we actually didn't do the subdivision yet. So because of that, I can only select these individual faces for the masking, and that's not what I want to do. So I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to make my subdivisions first. So I'm going to hold down Control, and I'm going to drag out a mask out in the middle of the canvas, and that way I won't have my mask selection. And then I can go to my Geometry tab, and I'm going to go to divide this twice, and then I'm going to switch to Smooth, and then I'm going to divide it 2 more times. Okay, now I should be able to make a mask that is more like what I'm looking for. And actually, I think I need to divide this a little bit more. So I'm actually going to give it unmask it. I'm going to give it one more divide. Yeah, there we go. And then, by the way, active points, that's roughly what your vertex count is. So right now what we're looking at is 327,000 verts, roughly. So I'm going to go ahead and drag out my mask here. And because I'm dragging from the outside of the mesh, we have the ability to sort of make these box selections here. And then I'm going to do kind of the same thing in the middle sections. Now what's cool is that moving masks actually works the way that it does in Photoshop. So if you hold down the space bar while you're drawing a mask, you can actually reposition it. So if you say didn't start dragging it out in the correct placement, you can refine it by doing this. Okay, so that's cool. So we've got that mask there. So there's a few things that we're going to probably want to do. But one of the first things that I want to do is I actually want to make a clear separation where it looks like I'm actually extending these surfaces out. So what I'm going to do, and just make it pretty simple, I'm going to go and grab a nice faded alpha. I'm going to make a really large brush. So I'm going to hit S. I'm going to make a really big brush size here. I'm going to make my Z intensity super, super low. Okay, so I was having an issue where I actually couldn't select my object, and apparently this is a bug in Projection Master. So if you open up Projection Master and then save your file, So I'm going to, for example, I've got my wall. I'm going to save my floor. Now that'll actually get stuck where you can't edit your content. So I'm going to go ahead and I just saved my file. I'm going to hit Control N to clear everything out. Then I'm going to go to Open. Open up my floor. So apparently what I'm going to have to do to fix this is go out of edit mode, Control N, then drag my floor quads tool. Okay, so I encountered a bug with Projection Master that is apparently a known issue. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save my floor. This is floor quads. I'm actually going to exit the ZBrush. I was thinking about not actually including this on the video, but I think it's worthwhile to note that something like this can happen. So apparently there's a bug where if you're using Projection Master, in some cases when you open up a file, you'll have a hard time bringing it back up. So just give me a second while ZBrush is opening. So it like locks your tool on the wrong setting. So let's see. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and load tool. I'm hoping this will work. Okay, I think I'm going to cancel out of this video. It's not working.